I realized I was one of the first, and that's really an honor. This is a scrapbook my mother put together for me.
These pages are filled with memories of a journey once considered impossible. They tell the story of a girl who grew up in the Twin Cities.
Well, I had 4 brothers, so I kind of had to stand my ground.
Who followed a passion and found international fame.
I got to the point where, gee, I'd rather fly than do all this publicity.
Barb Wiley never imagined the amazing career that eventually came her way. Initially, she'd gone to college to become a school teacher, and for several years taught 1st and 2nd grade. As a kid, Wiley was no stranger to the Crystal Airport just north of Minneapolis. Her dad had a business that built hangars, and he had a plane.
He wasn't all, shall I say, standard about flying. He did what he wanted to do, and he had a lot of fun.
More of a cowboy.
Yes, definitely.
In the wintertime, the plane had skis. Her dad thought nothing of putting it down on some random snow-covered field. Or in the summer, when it had floats, land on any lake of his choice.
Yeah, and he would land on a road if he felt like it.
By the time she was 20, Wiley decided she wanted a pilot's license. On her first flight with an instructor, well, let's just say at least she managed to keep her lunch down.
I was nervous and I think quite scared, so I felt ill and I felt sick to my stomach. But once I started maneuvering the airplane myself, then I thought, oh, this is wonderful, and look at the things you could see.
After passing her flight training, the school teacher by day continued on to become a certified flight instructor.
That's when I really got bit by the bug, that's when I could teach other people.
So she said goodbye to her grade schoolers and hello to anything that involved flying.
I like thinking about the safety of flying and how you just have to be so careful, you have to think things through.
She got hired by a charter service based at the Crystal Airport. Her first brush with fame came in this 1970s newspaper ad. The Minneapolis Tribune hired her to regularly fly thousands of copies of its papers overnight to be sold in Bismarck, North Dakota.
I'd leave at 9 o'clock at night and get back to Minneapolis about 3 o'clock in the morning.
This was at a time when the notion of a female commercial pilot was a novelty.
And they liked you piloting partly because you weighed less so more papers could be on? Is that true?
That's true. That's true. It was a scary flight.
She gained a lot of experience flying charters, and on the side, she also picked up additional training that would allow her to fly for an airline.
And I'd fly the newspapers at night and sleep for a while, and then I'd do the training in the afternoon and fly the newspapers again.
In those days, the idea of a woman becoming an airline pilot was unheard of. But one day, she got the courage to fill out an application with Minnesota-based North Central Airlines.
I sent the letter and I signed it with my initials and my last name.
So you thought, if they see a name, it's a female's name, they're not even going to look at my application?
Right, right.
Her ploy did the trick.
And I got a call and they wanted me to come in for an interview. And I was hired pretty much on the spot.
She was the first woman pilot hired by North Central and one of only a handful of female airline pilots in the country.
I just wanted to do my job and do it well.
The vast majority of her male colleagues, she says, were very supportive. There were some awkward moments. On her second flight as a co-pilot, the captain welcomed her aboard with a wisecrack.
He said, "First time I've ever flown with a pilot with a chest like that." So I just laughed it off.
And passengers would sometimes question getting on a plane with a woman at the flight controls. She recalls one businessman who looked at her with disgust.
He said, "Oh, blankety blank," when he looked at me. And he said, "I'm taking a cab." And I said, "You'd better not." And he stomped on the airplane. And when he got off, he went like this, like, "Good flight."
She loved the job, but the uniform, not so much. She couldn't find a tie that fit,
Well, I was into sewing and designing clothes and everything.
so she came up with this look. She never liked wearing the hat, even when she became a captain. Chalked that up to a comment she overheard from a young girl who saw her in uniform.
Their "Mommy, look at that lady dressed like a man." And I was kind of mortified, but I'd still go along with carrying the hat.
In 1979, Wiley gained worldwide attention when she flew the first jet-powered airliner in the United States with an all-female crew. She was a role model, a celebrity.
I went out and gave a lot of talks at schools and organizations. I just enjoy the flying more than that type of thing.
North Central eventually merged with Northwest Airlines, and Wiley continued climbing the piloting ranks.
It's just such a great, satisfying profession.
She ended her career as a captain on the 747 jumbo jet, the pinnacle of the profession.
We had fun. It was a blast.
What does she want her legacy to be?
That I worked hard at my job, that I liked my job, that I hope I would be a good role model for younger people.
As she looks back on her career, there's one thing she's most proud of. And it's not that she was a trailblazer for women.
That all my flights were safe. The combination of the whole crew, we thought through what needed to be done to get the passengers there in a safe, on-time performance.